everybody, and welcome back to the STEAM train. I'm Mr. Dorian, and thank you for tuning in with New Minds. I hope you guys are all doing well and are having a wonderful day. If this is your first time catching the STEAM train, check us out on newminds.tv for all of the other episodes and also episodes from every other one of our awesome inspirators. Today we have something super cool, so let's go ahead and see what's in our supply box so we can know what we're learning about today. It looks like we have quite a few things in here. We have some paper. We have something to color with. I have crowns. We have a ruler. Ooh, we have some scissors, like always. We got things to write with. I have a tape ruler, or a bendable ruler. This just has measurements on it, like inches and centimeters. We have a tape roll and a glue stick. I have a shirt, a pair of pants, and a bear. I think I have an idea what we can learn about today with all of this. So, everything you do that's around you, somebody has thought about and probably planned out how to make it. Think about the shirts you wear, the pants you have on, if you have a hat, if you have shoes. We've talked about shoes before, but let's talk about the other pieces of clothes. How you can make them, and what's a cool way you could design them. We're going to use this bear as our subject. If you have a different bear, that's perfectly alright. I'll show you how to make adjustments. Each bear is going to have a unique challenge to the size and shape of it. So depending on your bear, you're going to end up with a different final project. Let's go ahead and get started. But first, before we start making your own clothes, we have to look at how actual clothes are made. This is just a t-shirt for an elementary school. And all it has on it is, it's just a regular t-shirt. It's got two short sleeves, it's got a regular length, it's got a tag on it. Everything about this shirt is pretty normal. The one thing that's interesting about this shirt is if we turn it inside out, we can start to see how it's made. Right now, this shirt looks like it's one big piece. It's just a shirt. But if we turn it inside out, we can start to see a little bit about how it's made. Let me finish turning it inside out. The first thing you notice is that on the sides of the shirt, there's actually a line called a seam. Seams are places on clothing where two things are put together. They usually use stitching to do this, and stitching is almost like glue for clothes. It takes two things and sticks them together. We could talk more about how to stitch on a different time, but we're more talking about how the clothes are made all together. So you notice that there's seams on the sides of the shirt and also on the sleeves. Everywhere there's a seam, you can tell there's a different piece. Also, the collar of the shirt has another seam. So we know that this is actually 4 pieces. The front of the shirt, the back of the shirt, sleeve 1, and sleeve 2. All of those together make what we know as a shirt. So instead of being one big piece, it's actually a bunch of smaller pieces that we're going to combine together. Now let's look at this pair of pants I have and see where the seams are on those. Let me go ahead and fold this up, put it away. Make sure to keep my workspace nice and clean as I'm working on it. Roll, 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 roll. I'm going to put this shirt away in the bucket. Now I have this pair of pants. It's just a regular pair of blue jeans. I'm sure you've seen pants like this before. You may even have pants like this. Well, let's turn it inside out so we can better see where the seams are. You can still see some seams from the outside, but they're not as obvious. When you turn them inside out, you can really see where they all go. Now, pants are way more complicated than shirts. They have stuff like pockets. They have things like buttons, zippers. Shirts usually don't have that. So let's look at this inside-out pair of pants. You'll notice on the side they have a seam, just like before, a big line with a bunch of zigzags on it, and that's actually the stitching. It's on the outside and the inside, and if we turn it to the side with the zipper, you see that there's seams around the zipper part, and the pockets, you can see them from the inside out, and they're actually pretty cool. I like these big pockets. If I put my hand in it, you can see it flop around, almost like a puppet. Hello. The other thing is you notice that where the pockets are, there's also seams, so those are their own separate parts. Where the loops of the belt are, there's even more seams, and even this whole top part is its own seam. So pants are actually a lot of different pieces put together. But even if you wanted to make the most simple pants ever, you would still need 5 pieces. The front side of one leg, the back side of one leg, the front side of another leg, the back side of another leg, and then you need the zipper part to hold it all together and so you can actually put on the pants. I'm going to go ahead and fix these the right way and fold them up for now. But now we're going to learn how to make something like this for our friend here. Because I think he's pretty cool, but I think he'd be even cooler with my very own design of clothes on him. So I'll show you how you can do this. Fold these up really quick, just give me a moment. Alright. So the easy way to do this, I'm going to show you first, and then I'll show you a more complicated way, but it's a little more accurate when you do this. The easy way is to take your animal. It works better if one is more human shaped, so the arms are on the sides and the legs are on the bottom. If you have something that's a quadruped or something with 4 legs that are all on the bottom, it's going to be a little bit trickier to make clothes for that, but there is a way to do it. It's just going to take some challenge and some innovation from you. But if you want to trace something that's human like this, where it's got legs and arms that are in human places, you can lay it flat on your page. And I'm going to make a shirt today. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to trace from where the hip is, so right where the leg connects, up to his armpit. And then I'm going to trace from his shoulder to his neck. And I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. Bam, and bam. So I should only have a few lines. They look like this, almost like 2 extended letter T's. What I'm going to do is I'm going to connect this line at the bottom, and that's step 1. Step 2, I need to make some holes for the arms. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw a half circle, like half of the sun, connecting where I stop this top line and where I stop this bottom line. I'm going to draw it first, and then I'm going to outline it in Sharpie so you can see it a little better. So let me go ahead and do that. Here we go. It's looking really nice. And here we are. So it should almost look like a weird vase at first. The next thing that we need is we need a hole for their neck. And we want to make it pretty big, especially if they have a big head like my bear does. So I'm going to draw another U shape connecting the left line and the right line. Take your time, make this look really nice. Do it 1 time well instead of doing it 2 times poorly. So this is actually the first part of our clothing. Now all we need to do is cut this out and do a quick test to see how this is turning out. If it doesn't turn out perfectly, that's okay. We're going to make some adjustments. I already know mine isn't going to turn out perfectly, so I'll tell you how to make adjustments and make it a little better. Remember, this is just the front part of your shirt. If you want to make a back piece or other pieces, you're going to have to do some unique changes, and I'll show you how you can do that. But by the end of the day, you should know how to make one full shirt. Now, if what you're doing this on is a 2D person, maybe it's like a stick puppet like this friend over here. You might not be able to see him, he's kind of small on the camera. But we did it on the popsicle stick day. Maybe you just make clothes that lay over the top so you can change it. That's alright. If you've ever used a felt board, those are pretty cool because you can lay things on top of each other. But anything that can wear clothes can work. I'm just trying to do it on a 3D one so you see a harder challenge. When you take this, you're going to try and put it on like a normal shirt. And I can see that the neckline's a little too big. His arms are in the right place. But the problem is it doesn't wrap around at all. It kind of stops right at the edge. So we want it to go more than halfway around. So what I'm going to do is we're going to do a version 2. We're going to use this to trace. We're going to trace the armholes and this bottom line, but we're going to make them all extend a little bit further so we can make it bigger. So let me show you how I'm doing that. I'm going to lay it flat on the page. I'm going to trace the bottom line first. Make sure there's room to go out to both sides. I'm going to trace the neck hole and the arm holes first. And it looks a little like this. Now I'm going to extend these lines out a little further so it wraps around a bit more. Extend that one, extend this one, extend this one, extend the top one. Make sure everything is nice and long. If it's too long, you can always cut it shorter. If it's too short, you'll have to make a new one. So I would err on the side of being too long. Just like this. And now I'm just going to connect these finished lines and cut out my new version and see if it fits. Complete the lines. Then go ahead and cut it out. Now I did mine in white so I can color in and add more designs later. But you might do this with a colored piece of paper if that's what you want to use. I'm just going to keep cutting this out. It's going to take a little bit. I just want to make sure it's nice so I can know that this piece fits. Almost there. I'm around the final bend. Remember, there's no exact measurement. It's going to depend on what kind of animal you have. If you want to know exactly how long to make this line the first time, you can use something like a bent measuring tape like this. And you can wrap it around to see how far. So you start on one side. You actually go all the way around, right under the bear's armpit. You go in a full circle. Make sure you don't squeeze him. And mine is 8 inches. So I would cut that number in half because I only want to go halfway around. And it would be 4 inches. So I bet if I measure this, it's actually going to be 4 inches long. And look at that. It's exactly 4 inches. So using that, I could have saved myself some time, but I wanted to show you where those numbers come from. So it's basically from the shape of your animal. So now I'm going to use this, and I'm going to wrap it around. We just measured that, and we know it's the same size, so it should fit really well. So I'm going to go ahead, put it on, wrap it around. It's looking good. And there we are. We have the first part of a shirt. But now, a shirt's not just one side, it would fall off. So we need to trace this and make a second one of this exact same piece. So once you know it fits really nicely, it looks how you want, trace this, make another one. So I'm just going to trace it, cut another one out. I'll show you how to attach these, and I'll show you how to make a sleeve, and then we'll wrap up for today. I'm just tracing along. I'm making sure to hold it in the same place the whole time. If I move when I'm tracing, it won't end up the same shape. If you're ever worried about holding it still, you can use a heavy object to hold it for you, or you can trace the corners first, so that if it moves, you have something to line it back up with. If it's not perfect, you can always fill in the lines, but now I have it traced, I'm going to cut it out a second time. The reason we looked at the seams at the beginning with a real clothes is so we know where to attach our fake clothes. It'd be impossible to make one circle that's made out of one piece that we don't attach somewhere. Real clothes just happen to use two attachments. So it's symmetrical. There's no one way to do it. There's hundreds and hundreds of different ways to make t-shirts and clothes. If you've ever been to the store, you've probably seen there's so many different designs and ways to make shirts and things like that, that there's no impossible way for one to be perfectly right. So I'm going to finish cutting this out. I'm going to show you how to attach this one in this specific way. And then we'll go from there. Awesome. So now I have two of these, and we need to attach one side first. I'm going to use tape because it's a little quicker for me to show on camera, but all you have to do is cut a little bit more and overlap them a little bit, and then fold it. This is going to be side one. I'm going to put my tape on. I'm going to do it on both sides just so it's nice and secure. If you don't have tape, glue will work just fine. On the other side, and I'm going to do the top piece just to make sure it's not left out, and there we go. We have the start of a shirt. It looks really long right now, but we're going to put it on and then we're going to attach the other side. So I'm going to put his arm through the hole, fold it around, and now my other two sides should touch. If they don't touch, then we have a problem. Mine do touch, so we know everything worked out right. So I'm going to go ahead and take this side. And then I'm going to tape the top part, making sure they're nice and sturdy. Now, I didn't color or add any designs to mine, just to show you a little bit quicker and to save some time. But I want you guys to add color, make these awesome. You have the ability to create any clothes you would like. What do you end up making? Do you make something that's not a shirt at all? Do you make something unique? This is our shirt so far. It's sitting on, we have a front, we have a back. It looks pretty nice. If I did it again, I wouldn't make the neck so big, especially on the back side. Its neck's a little bit big, but I think this looks pretty nice for a very starting shirt. The next thing I need is to show you how to make a sleeve. We're going to do it pretty much the same way. We're just going to do a little bit of an easier shape, actually. It's actually just going to be a rectangle. So take your bear, lay them down, and just trace the top and bottom of their arm. Or you can measure it like before. Mine comes to about 2 inches. I have to sneeze. I can't sneeze. Oh. If I sneeze randomly, it'll come back. So I made 2 lines. And you notice I've done all this from one piece of paper. I've been really useful with supplies and I've reused it. If you have your scrap bucket of construction paper like we used before, this would be a really good time to pull some of those out, especially for sleeves and smaller pieces. So all I did was mark 2 lines for my sleeve, and I marked them as far down as I want them to go. I want to make a short sleeve, so I didn't make them very long. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to make a double of this, so I need to make 2 of these. So I'm going to take the first one and cut it out. So I just turned it into a rectangle and cut it out. And I'm going to make a second one. I'm going to trace the first one, have a second one, and then cut it out. In the real world, actual factories are really careful with how they line up and trace their pieces because they only have limited supplies. If you use way more fabric and you have a bunch of tiny scraps, it's going to cost a lot of money. So what they do is they try and fit everything like a puzzle and fit in the smallest space necessary. I'm going to put on this last piece of the sleeve, and then we'll attach it on, and we'll have a beautiful one-sleeve shirt. I'm not going to do the other sleeve because it's the same as the first one, but it is nice to see one all put together. So I'm going to go ahead, put this other sleeve on. And there we go. So now I have 2 rectangles. The short sides are the sides I'm going to attach. The long sides wrap around, so the short sides I'm going to attach together. There we go. I'm going to put tape on both sides just so it's sturdy again. Just like before we close it up, I'm going to wrap it around. And there we go. So I have this long rectangle. I'm going to roll it up around our friend here. Make sure it's the right length. They should touch on the other side. Just like this. Now I'm going to attach them to the shirt. So I'm just going to use some tape to do that. Make sure it's taped closed. It's going to be a little hard to tape it correctly and show the camera, but I'm wrapping it around like a bracelet on his arm, and then I'm taping it to the shirt. And if you did it correctly, everything should line up and connect. If you didn't do it correctly, it doesn't touch on the other side, you might need to make it longer. That's okay. It does take some trial and error to make it perfect, and it doesn't have to be perfect. And there we are. We have one sleeve on our shirt. A challenge I have for you after today is see if you can make a pair of pants. Just looking at the seam and looking at how the parts are made. If you need some extra help and you have your parents with you or somebody who's helping you, you can look up what's called a clothes pattern. And it shows you all the shapes. It's almost like a cheat code on how to make all the different shapes for different parts. That's all I have for you guys today, and thank you for tuning in with another Real Inspired Learning with New Minds. Keep practicing your passions until they become your talents. Maybe it's clothes making. That would be super awesome to see what you guys make. Thank you guys all for watching, and have a wonderful day.